Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Business of Property. I'm your host, Cheryl Leong from Property Development Australia. So, every week we interview superstar guests in the property development space that share their expertise, their deals, and their stories to help empower, build, and grow our community of property developers. So, hello to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube land. I hope you're all doing well. If you are here with me today, I'd love for you to say hello in the comments below so I know that I'm not talking to the the ether. For those of you who are celebrating Diwali, happy Diwali to you. I believe it's today's the day of prayers to what my guest Subodh is here. He says it's praying to the God of wealth. So I think we're going to be doing a bit of that today and every single day. But I do have a special guest. So, Bert, a good friend of mine, will be joining me for a bit of a chat around this topic that we are, our topic of choice today, which is around JV partners and investors and how to attract them. So, Bert, come on down, join me this evening. How are
Hi
you?
there. Hi, everybody. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you
Excellent.
for giving me this opportunity.
No, I love that you sort of said, "Hey, Cheryl, let's have a bit of a chat." And anyone here, this is, it's not a structured call or anything. We want it to be have this conversation around joint venture partners and investors, and sharing our top tips for being able to attract investors and be sort of a JV partner or invest magnet. Because you've been down this path, Subodh. You've been
Absolutely.
an investor yourself, and on the other side, you've had investors want to join and be a part of your projects as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah, sure.
I'd love to share your journey and your experience, and feel free to shoot back some questions to me as well.
Absolutely, Cheryl. I mean, I'm looking forward to this and happy to share my experiences, but also take some comments and tips and, questions from people around. And more importantly, I know you've also done JV deals, and,
Yes.
you are also an investor magnet in your own sense. So I was looking forward to getting some, making it interactive and learning few more things from you.
I mean, absolutely. This is all, the part of the PDA community is around sharing our experiences, and hopefully that it inspires and motivates other people in the community to step out of their comfort zone, right? We go into a lot of us go into development, and we go and educate ourselves. Lots of fantastic educators out there. Um, and this topic of JV partners and investors often comes about when you sort of go, oops, one, I don't have enough cash on me, or
Sure.
two, I don't have the equity, or three, I just, my money is being used elsewhere, and I like to be able to partner up with people. Um, uh, so, but maybe share your experience as an investor with a developer to start off with. How was
Yeah,
that
I mean,
experience?
look, as I mentioned last time, and when we chatted last time,
Mm,
just like a lot of people around, I typically was a buy and hold investor and been doing that for many, many years. And then I started thinking, wow, there must be a better way of doing it. Because if I can be a little bit blunt about it, we are all basically chasing the opportunity of making money,
mm,
and obviously making money legitimately. And so, what stops us from doing those multi-billion dollar deals or multi-million dollar deals? As I started reflecting on it, so we all chase the opportunity of making money. Then I started thinking, how can I do this? So, what's the constraint? I very soon figured out that I can't do it on my own alone. So, we got a
mm,
couple of options, talk to friends and family, or find some creative ways of synergizing people. And that's how this whole concept of a JV partner or a fellow investor magnet, because really you alone can do up to a certain level, I can do individually up to a certain level, but if we combine, then suddenly 2 plus 2 becomes 4. And that's how
mm,
this whole concept of JV, and we'll talk a bit more about different types of JVs, I can share with you my experiences. So really, from that background of being a buy and hold investor to graduating to, uh, I think it's a wrong word to call using other people's money. I think the right way to put it is how can we synergize where people come together with different goals, but a common
Mm.
purpose of creating wealth and
Yeah.
chasing the
Yeah.
opportunity of making money for everybody.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like that concept of looking at it more so it's synergizing. Because one of the things that I often read and I see people ask, and they ask of me is like, how do I find a JV partner? And I think the important things that I've experienced and noted is to understand and be aware of what you bring to the table. What are
absolutely, absolutely.
the skills and the knowledge and the financial input that you bring to the table? So, and
Absolutely.
then what someone else in terms of skill, knowledge, and financial capacity,
Yeah,
how they are sort of there to plug in and complement what you do or
absolutely.
don't do. Because I think it's the same concept of, too many cooks in the kitchen spoil the broth. Like if both of you, if both partners decide that they want to be the project manager and there's no clear roles and responsibilities, then you run the risk of potentially having power struggles.
Cheryl, I'll put it other way. I mean, we are anyhow talking the same thing, but
Yeah.
even before you talk about how, we should talk about why.
Mm,
Why
mm,
do you need a joint venture partner?
mm,
If you understand that, like for example, if I can share with you my experience. So I had a lot of network and lot of friends and maybe a 10 years or 12 years of experience in property and buy and hold, right? So when put that into a bucket, then I start thinking, why do I need to do a JV?
mm,
Because when went down to the route of development, I started understanding, and we wanted to do a kind of luxury development, boutique work. So moment you talk of that in a Sydney market, that is sort of $4 to $5 million project. Now, when you're talking such a big pile of money, obviously, then that is where your purpose comes in. That why do I need to do a JV? Because I don't have enough money with me as a person. So I need to have group of people around me who can either bring, pile load of cash or bring talent, which I don't have. For example, it could be building skills, it could be design and architectural skills. So once you understand that particular aspect, then you
mm,
start thinking of who do I now need to go and talk.
mm,
For example,
mm,
in my case, I need to go and talk to people who have got adequate cash, who are perhaps time poor, or I need to go and talk to good builders who know how to do a luxury build, or I need to go and talk to town planners and architects. So you see, I'm already starting to think in my mind who are the potential JV partners. So why do I need it? And then comes the how.
mm.
So what can
Yeah.
I offer to them? And what is exactly what you were trying to say? That what do I offer? Why should they even talk to me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
And then I like the way that you're thinking there. Why am I needing it? And is that going to be beneficial to what I'm doing as well? I have to say one of the stumbling points that I recognize now, looking back at my property journey, was thinking I needed to go and do it all on my own to begin with. And that took me a long time to realize that that was a very slow way of doing things.
absolutely.
That I was depending purely on my own savings and serviceability and the equity in my property. And it was to a certain extent um, a very limiting mindset
Yeah,
when I just thought, oh, this is the situation I'm in. I don't know what the solution is. I'm just going to wait until it gets better. And I'd love to ask the audience, do you ever feel in that way that you sort of go, I only can do so much. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough serviceability. I don't have enough. And I realized as I educated myself and as I saw people doing deals, and I wondered to myself exactly what you're talking about, surrounding yourself with other people. Because one of the things I used to think was, as a developer, I got to start off with duplexes to begin with, get some equity, more capital, get to bigger, and then it sort of grows and grows. And then I came across people doing subdivisions of 5 acre lots, and they're
Yeah,
subdividing to 40 lots. And I'm like, are these like multimillionaires? And then the guy said to me, no, we've just a few of us, my friends and I, a few colleagues that are in the property space have come together. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is something. And they don't require serviceability? No, it's on the merit of the project. And that's when it really opened my eyes to, wow, okay, development is another kettle of fish where um, it's about bringing solutions together and people together to make things happen.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely, Cheryl. If I can just add to that, when we were in business consulting, uh, it's not about what you know, but it's about who do you know who knows a solution.
mm,
Like if you tell me I want to make a high rise, apartment, for example, as a development, honestly, I would not even have a clue about it now. So if
mm,
I were to try and achieve that as a goal, not that I want to do it at this stage in my journey, then I immediately I'm constrained because I don't know how to scope an apartment, look for a site, etc., etc. Then I need to know people who know how they do that. So it comes back to the JV. We all get constrained. We all have got mind constraints because as Subodh as a person, at max I can do a duplex or maybe 3 townhouses or 4 townhouses. Now suddenly if I'm thinking of 10 townhouses or 15 townhouses or subdivision lots, then I need to slowly find out people who know that game and then
mm,
offer them something in return as a JV partner or as investors or whatever. So I think a lot of, and I'm I must honestly say that I'm new to this whole thing, 3 4 years. But whatever I see around, there are a lot of people who are still thinking it's about me and what can I do. But
mm,
if people start thinking what can we do,
mm,
it brings in synergy. It
mm.
brings in complementary skills. It brings in, 2 plus 2 becomes 22, for example.
Yes.
And then it
Yeah.
brings in a bigger volume. And that's
Mm,
how the JV conversation needs to be looked at. That,
yeah.
uh, yeah,
I'd say also a lot of developers start off doing development on a part-time basis and will have full-time jobs as well. So understanding that, particularly when time is money, when it comes to projects, you know, how much time do you have, not including the skill and knowledge of actually running a project, how much time do you have to actually speak to consultants, go to site, assess assess um, assess drawings or reports? So, looking at that and going, okay, am I better off being the money partner in a project, or am I going to be the one that's actually doing the project management? Or it's a
sure, sure.
combination of both. So what you talk about in terms of those synergies is going, having that awareness. So if whoever's listening at the moment, like, if I hear a lot of people wanting to get into development, and the reality is that development also includes that if you're going to run a project by yourself, knowing how to properly project manage a development
Certainly.
project.
So let's take specific example. Yeah, we are already about 15 minutes into the conversation. So if people go and look at I mean, I'm going to just put myself on the block, sort of, just to highlight our journey and what can be done. So it was a good 10 years before I even dreamt of doing this full time.
Mm.
So it was hard yards, and I won't dwell into that side of the story because it's already out there. We shared with it. But after that 10 years of solid buy and hold investing and creating a large network, I had reasonable amount of equity to start our first project, so to say, where we were actually money partners with a good developer. And
Mm.
even at that stage, we were passively learning and absorbing the skills of the game. Once we got success in that project, as you know, we did a luxury build, and we can talk about that in some other time. But we did actually sort of a joint venture where we gave a pile of cash, and the builders brought in all the other skills. And we ran a project and we did a luxury flip, wherein as a team we walked away with nearly $1.5 million in 18
Mm.
months.
Mm.
So then the penny dropped in my mind that if this, it's a massive amount of money, perhaps we were lucky, but if this is the kind of money, it's worth doing full time. So I actually
Mm.
stopped my other activities and started focusing on this full time.
Mhm.
So, there is a process of doing it. I would not recommend somebody doing development day one, but if
Mm.
you have enough momentum and network and support and foundation, it could be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever is your journey.
Mm.
A time will come when you can actually quit your full time job. In my case, actually, I did a pivot from a business. I had a business for 10 years, which I still have, but I pivoted out from it because I could see that there is enough money to be made and more. And that's how we got into this. And then the next step comes, all right, so what is it that we want to do? So in our case, everybody will have different journey and different goals. In our case, it was luxury build, big projects, and relatively quickly, given my age and gray hairs. So, so therefore, the JV that we are talking about, and I'm happy to talk high level, is really a $7 billion TDC in Sydney.
Mm.
So we decided to work in Sydney, large project. It's duplex plus two luxury builds and a
Mm.
subdivision also to add to it. Now, these kind of complex projects just cannot be done by one person standing up and doing it. It has to be a teamwork. You got to have money, you got to have skills, you got to have the right team, plans and permits, and all the professionals, and a project manager and a builder. Because our build itself is nearly $2.5 million plus.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you see,
Mm.
now I'm not saying everybody needs to do be that, but you could have some other goals. So it
Yeah.
starts by laying a foundation, being clear of where you want to go next, giving it adequate focus and time, and then finding JV partners.
And how did you go about finding JV partners, whether it's money, money partners or people that were going to bring in the expertise and skill?
It's a good question. And this is the funny part of it. When you are operating, like we were operating on the luxury build. So when you are doing a particular type of project, the people that you attract are also at that level.
Mm.
So to tell you specifically, last year October, so we are talking now 21. So this is 1920 October, a good 1 year back. A fellow JV partner who is now our joint venture partner actually approached us and said, "Hey, can I have a look at your luxury build?" And I said, "Yeah, come over." And we had a conversation. And he said, "You know what? I also got a project. Would you like to see my project?" And I very distinctly remember on 29th of October last year, that was the first time I went and saw the site, which today we have done a JV with. So you
Mm.
see, you tend to attract people because I am sure he would have thought at that time, geez, this guy is doing a $5 million project and it's a luxury build. So he's got certain capacity in terms of sophistication, in terms of investment. So that's how I stumbled. And it's nearly now about 12 to 14 months of hard engagement when we have actually
Mm.
started the JV journey. So that's an
Yeah.
answer to you that, like attracts like.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's how we stumbled on this particular, because we were clear in our mind. We wanted to do a big build in Sydney, which can be like a flagship project.
Yeah, absolutely. How much of the networking has been a contribution to the partners that you have, both money partners and again skills and knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to love for you also to share your experience. But in our case, what happened was, so we suddenly had this opportunity, and we really didn't have any money at that time, because all our money was focused and was all invested in the build that we were doing.
Mm,
But the engagement started there. So once the engagement started, I started thinking, what is it? So I knew what I wanted, correct? Then the question came about, how do I go about it? So I started talking to the partner, started understanding what his pain points were. Why was he even looking at engaging with me?
mm,
And I found out that his requirement was that he had got, other things that he wanted to focus on in his life, and he wanted somebody to bring in a bit of money and a skill and a long term commitment to his project. That was still his project, that was not our project. So you see, it was a process of, I remember, from October to nearly March, which is about 5 months. It just took me time to figure out, why is he even talking to me? So the first phase was all about trying to understand why, what is he looking from me,
mm,
and what can I offer to him, and what
mm.
am I expecting in return.
So, do you feel that it was during that time it was him assessing sort of your, I guess credibility, reliability, expertise, and knowledge? Why? I'd say almost like a dating period. You know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. A project is nothing but a short-term marriage, I guess, for 18
yeah,
to 24 months, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So my initial conversation with him was, what help do you want?
Mm,
What is it that you are looking from me? So he told me, I need you to, get some cash.
mm,
So I said, all right, then let me see if I can have a go at that. And then from there, I started talking to few close friends, because it being a massive multi-million dollar of capital raising, or money that we wanted to structure. So we already had a strong business mentor for our business. We had a very good chartered accountant, and over a period of time, I actually found a couple of good property lawyers, because when you want to put a deal together, you got to be sure that you are 100% compliant, 100% transparent. So while I was talking to him to find out what can I offer to him, I was also trying to increase my own bandwidth to deliver on those things.
mm, mm,
So that's how. So he absolutely, it was absolutely a process of him sussing me out in terms of my credibility, reliability, ability to deliver. And believe me, in the initial stages, as I told you, our money was committed somewhere else. So we didn't even have the money. But as the credibility went on increasing, as our engagement went on increasing, we actually became good friends.
mm.
And then we started talking business, which was,
Yeah,
suppose, let's say, from October to March, it was a process of becoming good friends and understanding what can I offer to him.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I've
Yeah.
got a question here. How many projects have you run solo versus with a partner? Maybe start with you first, and then I can answer that.
Uh, Good question. I mean, look, it's been a journey, honestly. And in terms of buy and hold, we've done few projects, we've done few granny flats, home extensions, renovations. So at the top of my mind, about 6 to 7 small and medium-sized projects before we did the big build. And before now, we've set up 5 more projects. So we've accelerated. So it's been a very slow start for a good 10 years before we could, take the jump. And doing it full time now, it gives me a bit more confidence. And look, I'm not saying that I know it all. I'm sure out there people would have done things differently. Yeah. So solo projects, you can say 5 to 7 over a period of 10 years. Burned houses, restructure, structure, structural renovations, granny flats, home extensions before you get on to full blown build.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm similarly sort of like the renovations, single builds, that sort of thing, where the extensions we've done on our own, as well. And however, because I still have another business as well, I have business, I have children, and then there's projects as well. I personally prefer to do it with business partners, whether it's monetary or generally. For me, I like to have a business partner that is strong in project management. So as a strong
Sure.
project manager, because I know where my skills and weaknesses are, so I'm good with bringing projects, identifying projects, the feasibility, the financials, the legal side of things. I can bring that together, the negotiation side of things. And I like to then have someone who is experienced and knowledgeable in that project management space to actually run projects well, that they can cash flow. They're looking at, and I find great project managers are like a dog to a bone, where you tell them a deadline. If you exceed that deadline, they come down hard on you like a ton of bricks, going, "You said Wednesday, why not Wednesday?" And that for me, is really important, particularly when you've got projects and deadlines that you've got to keep on top of, and costs, every single day it costs more money. If it's projects delayed, it costs you money. And so any of my development projects now, I prefer to actually run with partners, because
Great.
for one, I like being able to spread sort of the knowledge around and the expertise. Um, and two, because I'm just a social person, I like to do things with other people. I
Absolutely.
personally like,
Absolutely.
and leveraging other people's experience and knowledge, and sort of going, well, I can achieve more with other people than doing things by myself. Exactly like you said.
Absolutely. And look, there is a lot of talent and a lot of experience in our group. And
Mm,
I could, I know Susie was, peeping in, and hi, Susie, how are you going? So she was, again, very talented person out there. So really, one person can't do everything. One person does not even know everything.
mm,
For example, now we have started looking at the value chain. Even if you go back to this JV example, the purpose why we did the JV was because this particular partner had actually worked on that site for a good 3.5 years.
mm,
So he's acquired the site, it put plans and permits together. There were multiple, back and forth with the council, with all the neighbors raising tremendous amount of objections. And he has crossed all that hurdles.
mm,
And he has got an approval for subdivision and a further build of, couple of duplexes and two luxury homes. So you see, that is all the wealth of knowledge and skill and ability that he is bringing onto the table.
mm.
And there is no way that, at this stage of my journey, I could say that I can do all of this. So you're right that, how you thought about complementary skills, that you got certain skills, and what are the skills that you need complementary on, and that is what you need to look for to make a successful JV.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to hear from hi Susie, how are you doing? And
Hi, Susie.
Susie, you've had quite a bit of experience with joint ventures as well. I mean, you've got a business partner, if I'm not wrong, one or two. um, and money partners. I'd love for you to share your experience with the community. How do you go around attracting JV partners and investors? So maybe sharing a few tips, and I can share sort of my tips, and yourself as well, Subro.
Yeah.
How else do you go about, especially as someone who is, I guess, fairly new to the development space, all right? Because I get a lot of questions from fairly new developers going, I don't have social, I don't do a lot of social media. How can I attract investors um, into my project, what would be your top tips for them?
Well, somebody did ask a question, how many projects you did in the past? So I think that question itself is questioning credibility, right?
Mm,
So I think first thing you need to look at is, can you really stand up there and be credible? Now, how do I
mm,
build my credibility? So we straight away, sort of since last 3 years, I have been constantly learning. We have invested in a business coach, as I told you. So that is one credibility. Second is we've got a good chartered accountant. He's got multiple properties. He himself runs about 7 to 8 projects. So that is another way of building credibility. Third way could be that you have good property lawyers. So you see, it's about building a team,
mm,
and then on your own committing to your. A lot of people are not committed to what they want. It's not been easy to leave a successful IT career or a business consulting career and do something different.
yeah.
But again, when you go out to people and say, I do this full time, I've got
Mm,
my own money that is invested in my projects.
mm,
I've got a business coach, I've got a chartered accountant, I've got a property lawyer. So your money, if it is being invested with us, is going to be safe, it's going to be secured. And I don't have hesitation in saying that we will engage with best of the people to see that the project is delivered.
mm,
I mean, so you see, you got to be realistic about what you're trying to achieve and be honest about it. But if you go around thinking that I know everything and I'll do things in a way which is not transparent and doesn't build over a period of time, it may not succeed. It might succeed
mm.
for 1 or 2 projects, but very soon the community is very small and people would come to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
so leveraging your team, like putting, we hear this often, like putting together your team of experts. At the end of the day, we all don't know everything all on our own, but having these people who are from a legal perspective, from an accounting perspective, to be able to have look through your feasibilities, um,
correct.
and so surrounding yourself with your super team helps not only build your knowledge base, it builds your level of credibility to be able to say, hey, I might be fairly new to this, but I've got mentors that are able to guide
Correct.
me guide me
Correct.
through it. And
Correct.
if you're willing to come on, obviously you're willing to join with me, we're going to be transparent about this. We're going to do this together.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't hesitate in engaging with an acquisition strategist,
Yes.
and we pay big dollars for that. We don't hesitate
Mm,
in paying money to do a proper, feasibility. We have tools with us, so we do that. But we also don't hesitate in getting a land subdivision consultant to take proper views from
yes.
him even before we acquire a property.
Yeah.
You introduced me to Richie Muir, and a big shout to him out here. Again, very good professional. So our joint venture agreements are 50 pages. So you see, we don't hesitate again in paying all that money. Now, is
Mm,
it going to give returns on the first project? Perhaps not. But over a period of time, money, that is the credibility that we will build when we demonstrate to people that we have got strong agreements, proper joint ventures. And so really in the first JV, you will be surprised. We've actually got 3 lawyers guiding us. So you see, trying to do things which are long term and transparent helps
mm,
you.
mm,
And I'm sure
mm,
you also
mm,
must have done that. You were talking about the Camry project, to me, and how you
mm.
went about that. You got a good project manager. So,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. And so, for say one of our projects now, and that's our Camry project, and we've got an excellent development manager who's one of our partners as well in the project. I mean, he's got, I don't know, over 30 years experience in construction management and building and all. You know, there are things that in the project that if it was left to me that I wouldn't have picked up. I wouldn't have been able to value engineer the project. I wouldn't have been able to work out the best materials in terms of the underground parking, or be able to make a lot of us, all these all these things that come with experience, right? That
Absolutely.
you can, you can learn things when you're at university. You can learn things when you're doing a property development course, the practical, the theoretical side of things. But there's nothing that beats experience. And so
Absolutely.
when you are, you know, at the end of the day, development, yes, it is a process. There's so much about um, the technical side of actually delivering projects that I'm more than happy, like I said, to be able to pay someone to do it, or
Yeah.
partner with someone who knows what they're doing, and
Yeah.
and and is able to sort of make sure that they're identifying the problems before they arise, and also knows how to deal with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll share with you another example. Let's say if you look at the value chain of development, one of the big risk and one of the big chunk of work is the build.
Mm,
Yeah. And in our first project, we are not builders. We don't have building qualifications. We don't have the licenses, blah blah. So we deliberately actually got a builder who is our mentor.
mm,
Now, again, being honest, we are not going to build all our projects because this particular gentleman may not have the capacity to do a luxury build. We are honest about it. We'll try to get the right person for the right work. But for us to start, developing more depth into our service offering, we've actually got a mentor who's got 19 years of build experience,
mm,
and he's sort of semi-retired and wants to take a step back. So we have actually started using him for one of our projects. On top of that, we have actually got a project manager managing that project. Plus, we are actually using a software. I had actually posted it in the community about some good softwares out there. So we have
mm.
actually invested in a software. So you see, we are also constantly learning and strengthening our own knowledge base so that we can capture the value chain, and that's how we can, you know, earn more money, make more money for us and others. So
Yeah.
it's like a constant process like that.
Um, so, but I want to talk about another topic around social media, and your thoughts around using social media and getting comfortable with social media in terms of building, at the end of the day, almost like a personal brand, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that? And I'll share with you my thoughts and experience as well.
You are a champion in it, Cheryl.
Hardly.
Look,
Still learning.
now you're good at it. Look, my view is a bit old school, because the way I look at it, we don't need too many people.
Mm,
For us, I mean, the way I'm looking at it right now, we're in a small circle of friends and family slash investors, because we take substantial investment. So
mm,
actually, I'm the other way around. I do not want to go out and talk too many things. I'm
mm,
happy to share knowledge and help people, but I'm not in that school of thought who goes out. I mean, I like what you do with all due respect, but I would not spend time in going on to Facebook and running WhatsApp groups and
yeah.
channels. For me, it is more about sitting with people, maybe 10 or 15 of them over a period of time, and showing them what we do
Mm,
and working with them in a close knit circle and
mm-hmm,
delivering projects.
mm,
So for me,
mm,
it would be more of that.
mm,
I mean, that's my way.
mm,
Now, on the go, yes, we do need a bit of website and demonstrate what projects we have done.
mm,
But we are a very close knit group, and we
mm.
want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
Uh, as far as helping others is concerned, that's not an issue. That can be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And would you say with your network, because you've come from a business background and you're an entrepreneur in your own rights, right? Your network would be and your investors would be from your network of business associates and like you said, friends and family already.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At least
Um,
initially.
yeah, and absolutely, if you've got if I find that if you've got that core group of people that are of similar values and you can work with, um, you don't need 100 investors or anything. It's about going, okay, we can pull together. Um, on the flip side is you've got a lot of people who are coming from they might be fairly young in the property space and not and they haven't built up a network of say friends who are probably of this similar mindset. It's them looking at ways now to be able to market yourself, to go how creating that level of credibility and personal brand again.
Yeah.
And
Look, my view is market is the wrong word to use. It's
mhm,
all about what value are you adding and to
yes,
whom.
yeah,
Because really, there is nothing to market. If you are doing a good job, doing the as best as you can,
mm,
taking professionals along with you,
yes,
best is to demonstrate. And the good thing about projects is you can actually demonstrate what you are doing
yes,
because you can see a build coming up from the ground. And there is no shortcut to this whole thing. I mean, because if you are educator, then you can go out there and talk about educating people.
mm,
But if you are really doing projects, then you need to be clear about the project feasibility, ROIs, progress, return on investment, how is it going. I think that's how we approach our value proposition.
mm,
So it's, yeah, happy to share, happy for people to come and have a look, at a high level, share the numbers, share the contacts. But would they, if somebody tells me I want to be part of your project, would I jump up on it? Perhaps no. Because
mm,
over a period of time, yes. So there is nothing to market in that sense.
mm,
For young people, people who are new, I think there are no shortcuts to this. You've got to basically do few projects on your own.
yeah,
Go through the yards. Uh, I mean, that's my way of looking at it. But I'm sure there are people out there who have got great, a pitch or a marketing, website or initiatives which
mm,
can demonstrate value proposition,
mm,
and they might be able to do things differently.
mm.
That's why I said that I'm a bit old school in terms of social media marketing.
And
uh,
that's absolutely okay. It's going, well, there are different ways that we are, the whole point of this conversation is around going, the different ways to be able to attract and bring people together. I agree 100% around providing value in some way or some form. It is around building that that rapport and that credibility and connection with you, because people are going, this is someone, even when you're learning and sharing your journey, people do want to be part of that. And I've seen quite a few people in our community who are like, this is our first um this is our first project, and these are the challenges that we've had, or these are the wins that we're having. And then I see then in the next project, when they're sort of sharing that, people are reaching out to these people and sending direct messages to go, hey, when you have another project, I'd love to joint venture with you. So I think that when you have, to a certain extent, if you don't have an existing network to work with, it's around looking at other ways that you can reach out to people that can come together, and whether it's you know within this community, contributing and providing value in some ways, even commenting on post, right? If
Yeah,
you comment on posts and you are able to look like you're contributing in some way, people build a level of trust in you
certainly,
in
certainly.
some way.
Yeah, I mean, you got to provide value to others as we're talking about. So even as JV partners, or investor magnet is also a very heavy word, but providing value to people where you can safely take their money, invest it, and turn it around.
Yes.
You got to find from which angle are you coming in. Are you coming in
Mm,
from deal structuring, deal setup, or are you coming in from plans and permits perspective? Great site, great due diligence. You got the skills to put good plans and permits together, which can optimize a site. Or are you coming in from the build perspective, where you can do a build in a cost effective, timely manner
mm,
as a
mm.
project manager? Or are you actually a builder who can sort of deliver a project? So you see, there are different components to the whole value chain of development. And generally, a project, let's say, takes 12 to 14 months. So therefore, unless you do those 3, 4 projects, it's very hard to build a credibility in terms of what have you actually done.
Mm,
So for us also, it's a journey. It's just it's not that we do everything, but once you do that, then automatically there are people who are interested in having conversations with you. You got
yes.
to also choose the right partners, because there might be people who may have a lot of, let's say, money to invest, but their expectations might be high.
Mm,
So you got to find out whether can you meet those expectations in terms of timelines of the money that you are taking, or in terms of the return that you are committing to them, or what is it that you are offering, and can you actually deliver on those?
yeah.
I think those are some of the things how again, you need to think through.
Absolutely. Well, I love to put it out to the community there, those of you that are listening and with us today. What's been your experience with joint ventures or investors, or if you're looking to be a joint venture or an investor in a project, what are some of your questions? And I'd love to be able to have a chat to Sabot, have a chat to the audience here, because at the end of the day, it's one of the things I've seen work quite well. I know you're a little bit, it's what you said, old school. In saying that, I have seen the power of people posting up videos of updates on projects, and so if this is anything, will be my number one um, hack to be able to create a level of credibility um, and personal brand is start to feel comfortable if you're in your development journey and starting to start looking at joint ventures or investors. Get comfortable with your camera. Right, this is probably one of my first things. It's not about how many social media posts you put out. It's not about saying, putting motivational quotes. It's start to have people see the real side of you and your projects. And so the next time that you're out on at your site, take out your phone and share with people about your project journey and what it is that you're doing and a little bit about the project. At the end of the day, people are looking to be able to learn and be educated and be inspired.
Yeah,
So if you can inspire people in some way or form to say that this is possible, and if there's a part of them that says, I don't have the time or the knowledge or the money to, or the money to do it, either one of those three or a combination, and they look to you to say, this person's doing it, he or she's doing it, there's more likely that they're going to look at you and want to be connected with you in some way and potentially want to, do some sort of a partnership type thing down the line.
absolutely. In fact, Cheryl, if you start by giving, you will start getting.
Yes.
So if you start by giving to people, it could be your project, it could be your knowledge, it could be some referral, or somebody needs a good, like today morning someone called me from Brisbane. He connected me via, I think, our community, and he's doing 5 townhouses in Toowoomba.
Mm.
So I spent a good half an hour, 45 minutes with him, just sharing with him what we do, and give him Richie Muir's contact, and a chartered accountant's contact. So just giving it without expecting.
Mm.
And he now then he started telling me he's got an investment property in Blacktown in Sydney. So next time he's going to be in Sydney, he'll be happy to catch me for a cup of coffee. So you see, when you start giving, you start getting. But if you start
Yes.
approaching from getting perspective, how can I sign up this investor as soon as possible?
Mm.
Then your whole
Mm.
mindset is trying to sell or
Mm.
trying to get something. But if you start by saying, happy to share what we have, happy to show you in a safe
Yes.
way, and if you want to be part of it, so be it. We'll talk about it separately. I think if
Mm.
you approach it from that way, I think it might be more better.
Yeah,
uh,
absolutely. I think that's a really, really good point there. Subodh, I've really appreciated having a chat to you, and I think there's some really, really good points there. You've shared from your experiences. I've shared a little bit about how, we've had partnerships, whether I'm looking for partnerships or people looking for partnerships with us. Again, whatever it is that you're doing and wherever you are in your development journey, um, I, I, it is the synergies. If there's anything to take away, it's the synergy, finding people who are, the synergies between your skills and your knowledge and your financial input. I love that we're looking at the value that you can bring to people, and the fact is that there's more than enough to go around. It's about and
yeah,
giving and being able to share as well.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
if you've got that abundance mindset, and this is the other part about sharing your journey. It's like if you're sharing the challenges and the wins along the way, it's not about, oh, there'll be less sites for me because other property developers will be doing it. No, in fact, it's saying, hey, I'm more than happy to share because I know that, if this inspires you, then you're going to be wanting to do a project that makes a difference to your life. So I really like the messages that have come out of this
absolutely.
conversation.
And one more last thing is, if something is worth doing, it's worth doing well. So
Mm,
committing to it, like, everybody may not be able to do it, but trying to do it full time, or devoting enough time to it. Because if you're doing it at a particular level, you've got to commit to something. I think that
yes,
itself brings in a lot of momentum. Because,
yes,
like, when I was in IT, I used to run my IT business. But now that I'm doing real estate development and still starting the journey, I virtually spend 8 hours of my time only in this space. So, what I can do in 1 year, perhaps other people can do in 2 years.
mm,
Because, the amount of time that I spend in that space, because I'm doing it with focus, the
yes,
momentum is more, rather than trying to run an IT business and trying to do developments on the side. It's
mm,
a sheer opportunity that you get, because whole day, tomorrow morning, I get up and either talk to a town planner, or talk to a PCA, or talk to a builder, or look at a good site, or set up a
mm,
feasibility. So when you keep doing it, your opportunity cost, your opportunity of success goes up.
yeah,
I think so,
yeah,
some of those things, but I think
yeah.
we
That's
covered it well.
that's a
There
really
are
good
few
point.
aspects to JV that I would love to hear from the community also.
Mm,
There are JVs that are with money partners. There are JVs with land owners. There are JVs with builders and developers. So I think there are different aspects to this big
mm,
word called joint venture. It would
yes.
be worth exploring how other people have structured things.
Yeah, I think that the point that again comes up often is around joint ventures with landowners. So, those of you that have had experience with that, feel free to comment. Even after this is finished, you can watch. If you're watching the replay, pop the comments below. Tag either Subodh or myself or anyone else. How have you structured JVs with landowners? How have you structured JVs with other investors, with serviceability partners, or if you're the equity partner. So I think the more that we're able to share our experiences in this regard, the rest of us in the community are learning in some way or form, and
Absolutely.
we're able to support each other on this big journey, which a lot of us go into because we want to create a level of freedom.
Absolutely. There's a big world out there that together we can make it better and conquer
Yes.
more.
Uh, Yeah, love it. Love it. Excellent. Excellent. Well,
All
Support,
righty.
I know you're going to have a busy week with a lot of celebrations. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me tonight. It's an absolute
Pleasure.
pleasure. And everyone that's here with us and has been listening, I appreciate you and your time as well. Again, please feel free to share with us your own experiences with JVs and investors. If you have enjoyed tonight's session, and if you'd like to listen to any of our previous Business of Property sessions, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube page. And also just share it with other people, invite other people to the Property Development Australia Facebook group. It's an amazing community. I'm very proud to be a part of it, and I hope it brings lots of value to you and your journey as well. So till next time, take care, keep safe, and I'll see you again. Take care. Bye bye.